Mr. President, I'd like to take a moment to honor the 6th Annual National Gun Violence Survivors Week. This week we recognize the unbelievable toll of gun violence in America, and we offer our support to survivors who were left behind. No state or city is safe from the epidemic of gun violence. Just yesterday in Joliet, Illinois, less than an hour outside of Chicago, 7 lives were taken within minutes by a shooter with a gun. Joliet Police Chief Bill Evans said, and I quote, "I've been a police officer for 29 years. This is the worst crime scene I've ever been associated with." In Highland Park, Illinois, a shooter with an assault rifle fired 83 rounds in less than 60 seconds at a 4th of July parade in 2022, killing 7 innocent people and wounding dozens before law enforcement could finally even identify where he was. So much for the theory of a good person with a gun stopping a bad person with a gun. When it comes to assault rifles, that is not even in the realm of possibility. Katie Gilman was one of many of my constituents who was there in Highland Park. She was with her husband and 2 daughters to see the 4th of July parade. Then the shooter opened fire in the crowd. She and her children ran for their lives. Katie still lives in fear that what happened that day could happen again, and that she may not be able to protect her kids this time. She recently wrote to me and said, "For close to a year, I've had deep-seated fear that my children won't make it through the school day due to gun violence. And each week in the news, there's proof of these fears." The unfortunate reality is that Americans are forced to worry about whether their kids will be safe from gun violence at school, at the movies, at concerts, at church, virtually everywhere. Since 2020, the United States has suffered more than 600 mass shootings each year, almost 2 a day. There's no place in America that's been spared. And guns are now the #1 cause of death for American kids and teenagers. Think of that. In the entire world, it's in America, the #1 cause of death of kids and teenagers, guns. Not auto accidents, not cancer, guns. Mr. President, I ask consent to enter into the record an editorial opinion published this morning entitled, "Illinois' ban on assault weapons is working." It was published in the Sun-Times. I ask unanimous consent to enter it in the record.
Without objection.
Thank you. It reflects the fact that Illinois decided to change its law a little over a year ago. We decided to finally come to grips with the assault weapons scourge that hit Highland Park and continues to threaten America. This is an article that is written by the CEO of Gun Violence Prevention PAC, Kathleen Sanchez. In it, she makes note of the fact that the new law in Illinois is being measured as to whether it's been successful on its 1-year anniversary. The analysis of data from the Gun Violence Archive shows 10% fewer mass shootings in Illinois between 2022 and 2023. Gun dealers haven't sold assault weapons in Illinois in the past 12 months, she writes, and there isn't any evidence of violations by dealers. Gun dealers are complying with the ban, and that's evidenced by their complaints about the loss of sales, collectively costing dealers millions of dollars, but saving untold numbers of lives. In fact, when assault weapons or high-capacity magazines are used in shootings, 155% more people are shot, 47% more people are killed. That simple, common-sense effort to put an end to gun violence is working in Illinois, thank goodness, but we must do more. We cannot lose hope. Instead, we should focus on what we can do to address the gun violence crisis. In cities like Chicago, dealing with the drumbeat of gun violence has turned public health professionals into battlefield experts. I heard from doctors in Chicago who are sick of treating gunshot victims on the operating table, 50% of whom, if they survive, would leave the hospital and return gunshot victim again. They wanted to prevent this gruesome injury scenario from happening in the first place and then repeating. So in 2018, I brought together the CEOs of the 10 largest hospitals serving Chicago to talk about how we can help. We formed a group known as the Chicago HEAL Initiative, which has emerged as a national example of how hospitals can collaborate and reach outside their walls to prevent gun violence. Most importantly, they aren't just stitching up physical injuries, they're addressing the emotional scars of these patients. We must do more for survivors. That means providing resources like the HEAL Initiative to help those who have experienced trauma and preventing weapons of war from causing bloodshed in the first place. It's time for us to build on the bipartisan Safer Communities Act and come together to create real change. Congress must pass common sense legislation to help keep America's children and communities safe.